Good morning, you're with Michael Crosby for Potus 2024. This is going to go out basically to Schumer, President Obama, and basically voters. It's going to go out there. I'm going to send it to different people who are interested in the Democratic situation. Once again, I'm named #1 by AI computers. I have the world's best engineered campaign in the history of the world. My campaign smokes everybody else's campaigns in all parties combined. It just smokes them all out. And I'm the guy that has a fleet that's been destroyed. I'm the guy people keep shooting at. I'm the guy that can't get rational communications when I show that there are government employees that have involved themselves in acts of war. And I can't get rational communications from California leadership, even though the law clearly states that all these items must be resolved in full before delegate votes can be counted and certified. This is the law. It's right in the Constitution and the Articles. This is the law. So when I step up, I've already loaded paperwork up into the United States Archive. I filed it all through the Secretary of the Senate. It's all witnessed. And, quite frankly, I shouldn't have to do some of the stuff that I'm getting ready to do. I mean, quite frankly, the shame of what many of the leaders have done, the gross dereliction of duty. It's rather incredible. The situation here, we have Joe stepping down. Apparently there seems to be multiple sources verifying that apparently a lot of information was not passed to Joe. So we can't say necessarily that Joe had direct knowledge of certain things. Okay, fine, but the thing is, Julie Sue got smoked out by the Secret Service and by the U.S. Senate. Mitt Romney and several other senators, they jobbed her pretty good. I sent information around to different people about things that were a problem concerning Julie Sue. And I know these things firsthand because I was getting blacklisted. And the communication problem with the EDD was ridiculous. As many of us were told, everything's shut down, and we're being told that there's several ways that you can go for compensation, but one of them is through the EDD. So I'm like, okay, fine. I was actually scheduled to be doing petitions once again. I qualified for the max, and you can't get through. Phone call after phone call, can't get through. 3 phones, run 3 phones at the same time, can't get through. Check the alternative lines, you get through almost every time. It was despicable. If I was going to call through and say, yeah, I don't speak English, boom, you have service immediately. If I was going to call through and say, yeah, I'm a non-citizen, boom, you get service immediately. It was despicable. Absolutely despicable. But the people who were actually entitled, that were supposed to be the people getting compensated, they were getting blacklisted. I would run into person after person in tears. Their houses going into foreclosure, and they had to fight, trying to get their benefits that they were entitled to because of the shutdown. And this is just a despicable situation. I end up coming under intermittent violent attacks. They got worse and worse and worse. You communicate with law enforcement. You have a decay. There was a decay in law enforcement to the point where law enforcement was the problem. Law enforcement would threaten you, falsely arrest you. It was ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. So attorneys are saying, hey, these areas are lost. You cannot use the normal justice system. These people are threatening you. These people are connected to Trump or the Russians or something. There's something wrong with them. These people are interfering with the process of elections. And for me, it's not my first rodeo. Because over the years, I've had lots of times. I've been falsely arrested by the United States Secret Service. Despicable. Absolutely despicable. They're not doing their job properly. They're not doing security. I think some people are knowing some of the stuff now. I participated in some special lab items. That's a national security item. All of this stuff that's going on right now is examples of incompetence, examples of corruption, examples of dereliction of duty. Again and again and again. We just keep seeing it over and over, So I'm a candidate that at this point, I've got 29 vehicles that have been basically stolen or destroyed. My fleet's gone. The fleet's been destroyed. It was supposed to be up and running on the road over a year ago. And from day one, once it was up and running, I was going to start expanding it. In other words, I had pre-made leads. I had a list of people that were interested in selling RVs. I could have picked up 20 or 30 RVs in 30 days. More than doubling the size of the fleet, easily. So if you run, it was all computed out. You run them on the highways, this is going to get 1 million people a day in the LA freeway system. Would see these, 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah, that's Crosby for president. Wow, okay, I guess he's running. Or Crosby for governor. I was trying to get them all out going for the gubernatorial campaign. And then the blacklisting that's going on. It's just horrible. And the horrible actions of the Secretary of State of California. Horrible incompetence. AG, horrible incompetence in that office as well. And it goes, Harris, I haven't even got to the point to talk about what was wrong with her systems, she was sitting over control prosecutorial areas when we were trying to get cops prosecuted for harassment. These guys would come up and they would just fabricate all kinds of stuff because they don't like you running for office or whatever their disease is. And at the time I was running most of my license situation. I was a multi-state resident, 4 different states. There's a bunch of federal law that way. My driver's license was out of Arkansas. Everything perfect. Insurance, tags paid, taxes paid, perfect. And you'd have these cops who'd come up, man, and it was just ridiculous. And you just have to keep dealing with it, and then you call and you say, look, here's the evidence right here. Boom. Right here, these guys committed these felonies. We want them prosecuted. And you have to fight. And these people don't want to do their job. It goes right into Camille Harris's area. She's a prosecutor in the area. And then she ends up becoming the AG, So, she's basically responsible, as our attorneys are sorting through the material, in theory, of also being a participant in direct dereliction of duty against attacks against a candidate. The ridiculousness. I still haven't got an apology from the Democratic Party. Despicable. I'm still requesting rational communications from the Democratic Party, and they're not doing it. All this actions against Julie Sue, we're starting to process paperwork. We're going to put a seizure against the entire Harris campaign fund. We're going to freeze it. Acts of war. The entire ticket is full of people that participated in some way, either dereliction of duty or refusing to do their job, or their people are connected to attacks directly upon the candidate. These are acts of war. These are items that have to be resolved. It's listed right in the Constitution, in the Articles. These items must be resolved before the counting of the delegates and the certification of the delegates can be allowed. This is a real mess. These people will not involve themselves in rational communication. They will not give me the financial compensation that they owe me. I've got a fleet destroyed. A fleet! And these people won't get involved in rational communications. So they're forcing the situation. They're forcing me to end up in front of Congress and say, hey, look, this is what's happened. We're going to have to seize all of these California delegates. They can't be counted because they're involved, not in fraud, they're involved in acts of war, listed right here in the articles. Then we got to sit there and go through a painstaking new transparent situation to get new delegates chosen. And we have to move for an emergency election because the voters still don't know who I am. I've got a fleet destroyed. A fleet! This is despicable. There's no excuse for this. I've got people shooting at me. There's no excuse for this. There's no excuse for this. And I'm going to have to fight and fight and fight to sit there and say, wait a minute, no, I want transparency, and I'm demanding that the voters get disclosure as to what happened. We have to have fair elections. And it's going to be like pulling teeth because we got all these people stuck in memeism and their own agenda. And this is all a huge distraction. I've developed the most effective plan, the most brilliant plan, decades and decades of work into this thing. These people keep coming in to destroy it. Likely why? Likely why? Because I'm the guy that's a threat to them, to their memeism. The Russians won't likely because I'm a guy that's actually going to do something good for the United States. I'm going to do something great for every single citizen. I'm going to restore their housing rights to build their own homes. You know, this situation, and it just keeps going on and on and on. And I'm posting all of this evidence along, ka-chung, 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 on Twitter. And by the way, what's been posted, that's just a fragment, that's just a small sample. And people are going, this is incredible, man. You've got all these different photos. It looks like you got about 900 pounds of glass on the ground, you know. And I said, yeah, that's kind of sort of what's happened. 14 different locations. You know, the statistical odds of somebody figuring out every location that I used since they weren't listed, that's impossible. That's impossible. So you have to wonder, why won't leadership disclose? Why is it that certain leaders are refusing rational communication? Because they're involved. They know they're involved. How long do you think they're going to last in an fMRI lie detector? I know how I'll last. I'll come out smelling like a rose. Mr. Truth Guy here. These other people are going to cringe and make excuses why not to put their head into the donut. This is the situation we have. This is horrible. It's despicable. And they're ignoring the mandatory compensation and resetting up the extensional items so that we can have a real election. It goes into treason law. Treason! Death penalty areas. Artifacts destroyed. Archives attacked. The Constitution states mandatory death penalty in some of these areas. This is just unreal that these people would push these things this far. The American people are going to really be pissed off when they figure out what the truth is of what these various people have been doing. I mean, this is just so despicable. So I'm struggling to get the 24-hour activation lines set up. I'm trying to figure out a way to get all of that going and get all the websites active. I got 200 websites, actually over 200, that I want to get all activated. And I'm the guy that has people shooting at me. You know, Trump, he just finally enters into the club. Oh, you got somebody shooting at you. Wow, yeah. Well, I've had 7 attempts against my life by gunfire. Wow, you know, okay, he's finally in the club there, huh? Okay. You know, but really the seriousness of this. And this is a horrible distraction. There are reasons for this. There's a horrible distraction. We have foreign and domestic interests that don't want to see me succeed. They don't want to see me do what I'm going to do for national security. They don't want to see me stand up and help protect Ukraine. They don't want to see me repair Social Security. They don't want to see me repair the economy, because there are people out there that are evil. They want to destroy people's lives. That's how they make money. That's who they are. I'm a capitalist. These other people, they're maniacs. They're vicious. They want to lie and lie and lie, and they all have different masks that they put on. None of these people are going to fare very well. You go to put their head in a donut. Here, we got an fMRI detector. Yeah, here, we want to give you some pharmaceuticals, help level you out and put you inside. They're not going to want to do it. They're not standing up. They're not straightforward, committed to justice. You can see the people that appear on YouTube and X that are committed to real justice. It's night and day to see how these people are professionals and present evidence. Their sharpness is beyond belief. And these are the kind of people that I want to hire and say, yeah, I want these certain people in with the campaign. This is the way to do things.